everyone. Welcome back to Let's Chat Reality. I'm Molly.
I'm Michael.
And today we're excited to be covering the second half of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, episodes 6 through 10. And there's a lot to get into here. Michael, are you excited to talk about it?
Oh, I'm so excited. I feel like episode 8 starts a whole new season for this show, basically, and there's a lot to get into, even before that, but especially after that. So I'm really pumped to talk about this and finish out the season.
Yeah, I know. I wish we had season 3 already, just based on how much drama I feel like we could even get from this part of the show. So I can't wait for that. Hopefully, I think they renewed it, right?
Not only is it renewed, so actually, what will be coming next is the second half of season 2. So
Um,
technically, all we got were the first 10 episodes, which is the first half of season 2, like 2A, if you will. And then later this year, it officially is supposed to be before the end of 2025, we will be getting these back half, 2B. And it's already, I mean, we saw the preview for it at the very end of
yeah.
episode 10 here, so it's already well into filming. A lot of rumors going around, a lot of shady TikToks already that I'm sure we will see play out all on the second half of season 2. But before we get to that, we got to get through the back half of the, I guess, like, the second 25% of season 2. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know how
now
to
that I'm
describe it
saying,
now.
yeah. I was like, wait, this is in the second half now because we're not done with season 2, but episodes 6 through 10, whatever that's referred as.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we start off by seeing that Macy invites the girls to support her in judging a celebrity pickleball tournament in Scottsdale. And Whitney was supposed to ride with Jen, but then she went MIA. So Whitney went to Jen's house to check on her. And Jen was emotional, talking about her prenatal depression. And then she decides not to go on the trip and gives permission for Whitney to tell the group about her pregnancy when they ask her why she's not there, just because Jen obviously is going through a lot mentally, but doesn't want to share that part. But the pregnancy part, she's okay to share. And Whitney does tell them, but then the reaction by the girls there seems to not be super warm, and they didn't really feel like that was an excuse for her behavior, for at least for some of them, and they just didn't seem to be supportive of Jen, even though maybe because they didn't have the full context there, but it just didn't sit right that it was just like, well, why are you not even trying to be nice about this in this situation that she's pregnant, going through a lot with her marriage, and all of it's all happening at once. So, did you think
Yeah.
that the girls should have been more supportive of Jen here?
I mean, yes, but we have all the context. So I think it's easy for us to say yes, and I think it should have been easy for them to be more supportive as well. But I think my guess is just that, like, behind, cameras off, whatever, all the girls are texting or talking with each other, and I bet they were like, you know what, I bet Jen's not even gonna come, and I bet she's gonna have some excuse. Like, I feel like to them this is just like exactly what they expected from Jen. But what they don't know is all the behind the scenes of all of, her depression, all of her emotions. There's so much that I just feel like if they could see the footage of that we saw, they would have reacted completely differently, of course. But I just think that for them, this was just kind of typical Jen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I haven't seen anyone's reactions now, but I'm sure that they would feel differently
Yeah, for
if they
sure.
were to react at a now, like being filmed now versus when they were filmed.
And it's hard because, like, I feel like a lot of the interviews that I'm seeing now of them like promoting the show were recorded before they ever saw the season. So it's like we don't even really know what exactly their reaction to all of this is, because at least like the Nick Vile interviews that I've seen, all of those were like pre-recorded a while back when they hadn't seen anything, and they're asking Nick all these questions of like, oh, like, did this make it in, did this make, and so it's hard to kind of judge exactly what their feelings are now that they've seen it all, because I think most of the interviews that I've seen, at least, they hadn't done that yet, so it's a little bit hard to judge exactly how they're feeling right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. But then also we see a note come on that's saying filming will not be following Jen anymore because she decided to take a step back from Mom Talk and doesn't want to film the rest of the season to focus on her mental health. So I was sad to see that Jen wouldn't be showing the rest of the season, but obviously support her and think this was definitely the right decision here, as we were seeing a lot into her life, and it seemed like it was getting maybe to a dark place as well. So definitely good for her to focus on her mental health here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I applaud Hulu for and producers for allowing her to do that, to make that choice, because I feel like there are certain shows that would be like, suck it up, this is what you signed up for. And they would just put a camera right in her face this whole time and make her come to all of these events and filming. And clearly she's not in a place to be able to do that. But if she stopped, then it would be a breach of contract and like they would hold that over her head. So I applaud the fact that they said, you know what, this isn't good for you right now. Take a beat and let's pick back up. When I presume she's filming now, and I think absolutely that this was the right move for her. And I think anyone who doubts the fact that her emotions are real, the fact that she was willing to stop filming and I assume not get paid for those episodes that she's not in. So I think that this, if anything, is going to make people believe that her emotions and feelings are real here. This is proof of that.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. It's how can you argue that? It's like, well, she really didn't want to take the money here. Like she focused on her mental health.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good that Hulu did that, because I don't know if they would do if with all networks would do that for
I don't know if
people.
that. I mean, we've seen time and time again on Bravo that I can't remember a time that they just stopped filming with somebody that wasn't there, like just quitting the show. I mean, like Lisa Vanderpump in season 9 of Beverly Hills just quit mid-season, but that was, her saying, I'm done with this forever, not just like, I'm done with this for the rest of the season, pick back up later on. So I don't know that I've ever quite seen somebody do this exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, well, props to Hulu again for that. But back to the episode, like the same episode, we also see that night that Jesse brings out the truth box. So here we go again with more of this Sinner Sunday confession. Demi is asking, or is asked a question that if she knew about Macy's Sinner Sunday confession, saying about Brett cheating on her. And she said she doesn't believe it because they've only been apart for 5 days, their whole marriage, but that the truth will always come out. And I don't know, the way that Demi was talking about it, like in a roundabout way, kind of was sus in some ways, but also it was like, well, maybe she really just doesn't know about it, but I don't know, or maybe it's not true. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think she's probably kind of had to say this because even though if she doesn't believe it, she doesn't want to like have this flashback on and be like, he would never do that. Like this, I know this man and he would never cheat on me. And then in, a year or two when it's known fact that he was cheating on her forever, then she would look, I don't think that she would look bad, but she would think that she would look, like they would kind of be clowning on her for talking like that. So I think that she probably felt like she had to say something like, "Oh, well, if it is true, the truth always comes out." But to kind of protect herself in that way. But I don't think that she thinks in this moment that there's any legitimate truth to this.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like she just like, well, whoever said that is just trying to get that clout and to cause
Yeah.
drama here. So we'll have to see if that's actually true or not. I don't know if we'll ever find that out, but but
I
we know
mean, I
right
guess we'll find out if one day there's a news article saying that after however many years of marriage, Demi and Brett have split. Then probably there was some truth to it.
now. Yeah, for sure. But also in this truth box, Jessie gets asked about a rumor that she kissed Marciano from Vanderpump Villa at Tom Tom, and that it was out in public. People were seeing it. She denies it, And obviously we see it come back up at the end of the season as well, or end of this first part of the season. But I don't know what to believe here. At first I was like, well, yeah, why would she do that in public? But now seeing some of these previews, I'm like, oh, what's happening? But what are your thoughts in this moment of this denial of her kissing Marciano?
Okay, in this moment, I did not necessarily. I believed that there was maybe something that looked suspicious-ish, like she, jumped into his arms or was like kind of a little more touchy-feely with each other than like a regular normal friendship would be, but that it was kind of an exaggeration to say that they kissed. Like maybe he kissed her on the cheek or something. Or like, I thought, okay, there's some like legitimate excuse here that like this could kind of be misrepresented or exaggerated. That was kind of my first initial thought when I heard this.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So I don't know. It's tricky now thinking back on it now that we have more information.
Yeah.
But I wanted to believe Jesse in this moment that it was maybe taken out of proportions there.
Yeah.
But then we also hear about Jessie being asked about her previous falling out with Demi over the contract negotiations. So then the girls are saying that Demi was willing for Jessie to leave the show if it meant that she could be paid more. And this is another moment where we're like, oh wow, like we know these are people in the show getting paid. Like it's not just like our entertainment. Obviously it is, but this is their job. And I feel like in this moment, it kind of showed more of Demi's true colors in a way of like, I felt like she didn't really have a good reasoning for why she was maybe saying that, or trying to deny it as well. But what are your thoughts overall? There's so much in that.
Well, yeah. So I think again, and I'll just kind of say like how I was feeling in this moment when I heard that. I was like, "Oh, that's really shitty." Like, first of
Yeah.
all, I love that they're showing us this because again, this is something that on most shows they would not allow them to talk about at all because this is so like shattering the fourth wall. But yeah, I mean, when first this came up, I was like, "Really?" Like that just seems so weird because they're seemingly like very close friends, and like why would that even come up as a possibility, because there wasn't like any rumors that Jesse was going to be leaving the show after last season. I was like, of all people, like that just seems so incredibly random that she would leave. So that was kind of my first thought. But then as we learn more about it, I will say, and I know that everybody's hating on Demi this season, and I did not like a lot of the stuff that she did either. But I think I understand her position a little bit more once they kind of got into it further, which we'll get into it a little bit later in more detail.
Yeah, no, definitely. But now going to the next morning, then Macy and Whitney talk about their friendship. And Macy wishes Whitney had come to her baby mama launch event last year, but Whitney says that she doesn't regret it because she wasn't in a great mental space there at that time and nobody wanted her there. But Macy was hurt by that because then it made her feel like Whitney didn't care about what she did. But then they disagree to move forward. So they're just like, because Whitney's reasoning for why she doesn't regret it is because she learned from it and like wouldn't have moved on or like learned from that experience to make amends more so or like understand what she did was wrong. So I agree with Whitney's stance there, even if she didn't fully say like I regret this. Like I think it made sense for that apology. In general, like it's not a full apology, but it's still like a I do feel bad, but also like I'm glad it's happened. But I think obviously like Whitney this part of the season, I feel like she's trying to just like earn back people's trust, and I feel like here was a good step forward with her and Macy.
Yeah, I can understand Whitney's position. I think that it makes sense that she's like, I don't want to just apologize or say I regret something if I don't fully mean that, but also I don't think I regret it because if I hadn't done that, then I wouldn't have like learned from watching it back and knowing that that hurt you and is something that I won't do again in the future now. I don't necessarily think though that I feel like she's just kind of being a little bit stubborn in this moment in terms of saying like I'm not going to say what you want me to say, but I think Whitney or I'm sorry, that I think Macy just wants to hear those words that she's like asking Whitney to say, and it's like Whitney refusing to do that just kind of makes it feel like, well, you're not saying like the one thing, like I'm telling you exactly what I want to hear, and you're not willing to do that, which makes me think that you just aren't really listening to what I'm saying because you're talking all around it, but you're not actually saying the words that I need you to say in order for me to fully be able to squash this and move forward. So I think it's just kind of this miscommunication of like apology styles or like communication styles, I guess. I don't know. It just makes me think that like they don't fully hear each other, but I think you can tell that both of their intentions are good and wanting to move past this. So I think in that way they will eventually.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think overall, like other girls have more issues with Whitney, obviously, with
Yeah.
Michaela. So that they kind of hash that out a little bit more than at breakfast, because then the rest of the girls come in and talk to Whitney about their issues with them. Michaela says that Whitney hadn't owned up to anything and is still making excuses. And the rest of the girls agree, and that Whitney needs to self reflect so that she can give honest apologies and start the process of mending fences. So it was interesting to see that we saw that conversation with Macy, then going right into this, going after Whitney here. And I did feel like they were a little bit too harsh in this moment. I think Whitney was trying, at least from what we were seeing, somewhat. I don't know with every girl she was, but like with some people she who she expected to reciprocate it, I guess that she was trying with. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that the girls were being too harsh?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I understand again. Like, I think that Whitney is not the best apologizer. Like, I just don't think that she quite is able to, like I said before, like, kind of she can't quite get there to say the things that people need to hear her say. And I think that she kind of is the type of person who's like, well, I'm not gonna say this because it was how I was feeling in that moment. Or I'm not going to apologize because I was in a bad place mentally at that time. Like she's just kind of like she gets right to the end and then she just like she can't quite get over the line because then she just makes like an excuse. And it's like, well, okay, well now we're starting back at ground zero, because like it's just like, okay, you're just trying to rationalize why you were doing what you were doing, and we don't want to hear that. We just want to hear you're sorry and you won't do it again.
Yeah.
But I will say, like Michaela, I think I don't know. Michaela is the type of cast member that sometimes really annoys me on these shows because I think I said this on our last episode that she's the type of person who I think who really like looks at audience reaction from the season before and she's like, okay, the audience hates Whitney, so I'm going to make 5,000 TikToks how much I hate Whitney because those are going to be getting the most traction and the audience eats it up right now because that's how they're feeling. And they're filming this right at that time when she's getting so much support for these anti Whitney TikToks that she's making. And so she's like, well, I'm just going to double down on this and go 10 times harder at her. But the problem is that the tides turn. Audiences are fickle on these shows, and they might absolutely hate somebody. They could write 100 tweets about how much they hate somebody. And then you get one more episode where they get a good edit, and it's like, oh, I love this person now. Who would have thought that I would love this person so much? And that happens every year of every show. And I think that Michaela and all the other girls, they're going to learn that as time goes on, that they can't use that as a way to determine who they're going to align with the next season, who they're going to hate. You just got to go with what's actually happening and how you're really feeling. And it's the only way you're going to get, the audience to not eventually turn right back on you.
Yeah. No, definitely. I really am interested to see if Michaela comments on any of that, of like Yeah, I guess I did just listen to the audience, but I don't think she would ever say that.
No, she won't. But I think that,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised if season three she's a lot softer on Whitney. I think that'll be the tell, or season 2.5, whatever it is. I think that she will absolutely. She might not be best friends with her, like probably a little too prideful to do that, but I think that we'll see definitely her soften up.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But here now we get into more of the details of the contract negotiation dispute with Demi and Jesse. They were really real more details there. So Demi says that she thought the group was going to come in negotiating as a united front, but Jesse said that she doesn't want to speak doesn't want them to speak for her, but Demi and Brett were upset because this ruined their plans to hold out for more money and thought Jesse was being selfish since she's in a different financial position than Demi is. So there's just more of those nuances there. But do you think that Demi was wrong for how she handled that?
So, okay, and here's where I think that I was originally like, how could Demi possibly do this? But I think once we hear more about it, it does make more sense because my understanding from watching the show and then like watching some interviews is that basically all the girls had decided that they were going to try to do, I think, what Jersey Shore did back in the day, where they're like, we are going to all come in together for negotiating. We're all going to do the same amount. We're not going to do this like, Taylor gets this much money and Macy gets this much money and Demi gets this much, like, and so on and so forth. They're like, we're all going to get this amount, and it's probably a higher amount than they were planning on giving some people. But it's like, well, we either get this or we walk as a show. And so Hulu, this was a very successful show, season one. Hulu's not going to just give it up and fire everybody and cancel the show after season one of this highly successful show. So they know that they can get away with this. So that was the plan, was for them to all do that. And then Brett and Demi were kind of, I guess, the ringleaders of it. And they started saying, like, it's this much or we're walking.
Hmm.
And Jessie, I think, didn't quite understand what the plan was. And so she was on this call too. And she was like, well, wait, hold on. Don't speak for me. Like, I'm not quitting. I'll take this amount. And so that screws everyone's plan up when then, Jesse's kind of like going rogue and foiling their plan. And so I think that's where Brett and Demi were pissed at her because they were like, well, you just ruined this. We all came in with this plan. What gives? So then they started going out on their own and being like, well, if Jesse's going for, going to be okay with that much, then I want this much actually, and probably a lot more than they were originally planning on asking for. Just them. And so then it was like, well, why do you think you deserve that much? And so it's just like, I think it's a total miscommunication. It wasn't anything against Jesse personally, but where it probably got personal was then they probably like started getting into a little bit of an argument with producers about it. And they were like, well, if then just fire Jesse. Like, I'm going to get this amount or I walk. Like, if you need to like let someone go to free up that space, then, fine. And it maybe wasn't something that they actually meant, like maybe it was just kind of in anger, but for her to even like say that something like that out loud is such a betrayal. So I think, long story short, it was just probably like a miscommunication in the beginning that just kind of snowballed into something that went way too far.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think like they all the money stuff when they talk about it, it's like it's always going to be complicated with that because you want it to be equal, but it's not going to be equal, and it's just there's a lot
Yeah.
there. But then also Taylor says that she heard that Demi has said that she deserves the biggest brand deals of the group. So then Jesse and Whitney have heard the same. They chime in and say that too, and Demi said it's not a shock that I was a fan favorite. So here we see Demi being a bit egotistical and saying,
Yeah.
well, I deserve to get this. But like as it's coming across, obviously me as a viewer, I was like, no, like why would you get this?
Yeah.
I'm sure most other people feel that same way. So this made me think that Demi was really greedy for the money here as well. But what were your thoughts on her?
Yeah.
She deserves it.
No, this is where I can't defend me. Like this is where it went too far, and I was like,
Yeah,
okay, now we're just saying anything these days, I guess. Like, I mean, I don't even think like sure people liked to me, but I don't think she was like the fan favorite by any. I feel like in most people's like if people were after season one were ranking like their favorite Mormon wives. I feel like to me probably came like right in the middle of most of those rankings, I would think. Like I feel like Taylor was definitely ahead of her, Macy was probably ahead of her, probably Jesse even. Like I feel like Jesse made a little bit more of an impression than to me season one. So I don't think that she was like towards the top of that anyways. And yeah, no, I mean I just I haven't heard her give a good explanation for saying something like that. And she's like in all of her interviews like I don't care at all about being famous. Like that is like of every reality star you've ever seen, I probably care the least about that. Like, and it's like, well, then you can't say something like that that I was a fan favorite and so I deserve bigger brand deals, and then also say you don't care about the fame of it. Like that, just those two things don't match. So,
yeah,
yeah, that
that's
was weird.
very, yeah, it's very contradictory of
Yeah.
that. But it's giving us drama, so we're here
Oh
for it.
yeah, and I love this because it's real. Like this is real
Yeah.
drama, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Then we see Zach meets up with Whitney and tells her that Demi has sent a cease and desist to Jen to prevent her from talking about Vanderpump Villa. So, of the accusation that they were being flirty there, Demi and Marciano. So Marciano's involved again. Um,
Oh boy.
but this was interesting to see just because then it makes it seem that Demi is more suspicious just because of her trying to send over the cease and desist. So, what are your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my assumption is that she just really did not want this topic to become a storyline on the show.
Mhm.
And this is her way of preventing that because she knew, like, okay, now it's been brought up, so it's going to become a storyline unless I do something about it. And this was her way of being like, well, if I send a cease and desist to everyone, that, and she's denied it. Let me say that on her entertainment tonight, when they had the whole cast or most of the cast interviewed right at the start of the season, um, Jen was talking like asked about Vanderpump Villa and she was like, "Well, I can't talk about it because I have a cease and desist." And Demi was like, "Pull it out, show it, like prove it." And like she's basically saying like I didn't send you one. So my guess is like it's something like she sent a letter that wasn't technically a cease and desist, but it was like maybe warning of a cease and desist or something like that. I don't know. That's just my guess is that it like she could probably technically say it wasn't like a legal document that she was sending out, but I think it's clear that for whatever reason she does not want anyone talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not. I wouldn't want that out there, but I mean, I feel like now we kind of have brushed it under a little bit now that we're thinking about the Jesse situation with Marciano. So
And
that's
that I think a lot of people think was the goal of that whole scene.
yeah, for sure. But then Layla invites the girls and their husbands to a friendsgiving dinner, and Brad denies the rumors of him cheating. And Taylor reveals that Dakota gave her an ultimatum that if she can't give him 100%, then he needs to move on with his life. So I thought this was fair because, I mean, what Taylor and Dakota were doing obviously wasn't healthy for them, and they just needed to either end it or be together. And so I think this ultimatum made sense for them. So that's good that Dakota brought that up. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this has to either end and allow both of them to move forward, or they have to decide we're really going to give this a real try. And, I think it's kind of it's a hard time of year. Like clearly it's the holidays when they're filming this. Like I think that's always kind of a hard time for people in like maybe not so great relationships with kids, and like it's a tricky time. So I could understand Taylor also being like, let's just kind of like wait till the new year and then figure this out. But it's also kind of a hard time to also have to like figure out your life and how you want to move forward. So I can understand why Taylor probably is like, I just don't want to like give you a straight answer right now. But I also understand why Dakota feels like you would want and need deserve a straight answer. So it's, I think, a very tricky, hard situation on both ends, especially when Taylor's family clearly is as opinionated as involved as we've seen them be, and that I don't think helps matters either.
Oh, I know, definitely not. I feel like that that's not a good feeling to have like your parents really involved in that. And
Yeah.
obviously Taylor is going through a lot with Dakota and they don't know everything that's actually going on also. But it's good. I think it's good for them both to take a step back, which we do see them. They eventually break up. But right now they're still kind of like, oh, what's gonna happen? But now for the CMA drama of it all. Taylor gets invited to present an award at the CMAs, and she posted about it on Instagram, and then none of the other girls commented on her posts. So that made her really upset, and then she posted a story calling them out. And then the other girls defended themselves, saying that they texted her privately, congratulating her, and they thought that Taylor was just trying to make them all look bad. And this was fun to see this all shown on screen because obviously I remember seeing this, like the drama when it happened, TikToks that were made, and all this stuff that was going down. So it seemed like Taylor was maybe being a little bit petty when I remember it from that moment exactly. Um, but I also do think that she has a right to be upset since it is their jobs to like show each other support and comment on people's posts, and especially when it's for presenting an award, like that's a big accomplishment too. So do you think that she was right to be upset about it, or do you think the other girls should have commented?
Yeah, I mean, I think Taylor absolutely had a right to be upset. Like, if nobody in the group is commenting, and some of them are even like liking it but not commenting, I guess is what she was saying, which I don't know. Like, I think as long as you like it, I think that that's a showing of support, especially if you've already like sent a private text. Like, I think that I'm okay with, but like to not say anything in 24 hours after it's posted, that's enough time, I think, to give somebody like to say something about it. Like most people check Instagram at least once in a 24-hour period, I would think. So unless the algorithm is just totally screwed up, but for somebody to like, you know, comment and like the past 5 posts you've made and then that's the one they skip, that's a little bit weird. But I will also say, and also I think once she posted the story, like calling them out, I think what she was saying was like some of them even saw that story but still hadn't commented and posted or liked the post. So that shows, okay, you're checking Instagram, but you're not purposely like ignoring that one. So yeah, I think absolutely have a right to be upset. But I think, in all actuality, she probably should have just like done this a little more privately, or I don't know, like call them out in person on camera. Wait till the next time you film. Now, I guess like this was kind of during the break of filming. It seems like there was a break between episode 7 and 8, is how it felt to me. When
Mhm.
all this went down, there was maybe like a week or two that they had off for the holidays. But so maybe like she felt like, well, I'm not filming for another like week, so that won't make any sense. But otherwise, I think that would have been a great way to just like call them all out in person and see how they react without being able to like come up with a story together or like, talk about it amongst themselves first before they say anything. So that would have been really, really fun also to watch that all go down.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I feel like yeah, she should have or not maybe, she definitely should have just texted them this or brought this up to people in person and not share it to her millions of followers because obviously that gets people talking, and we love the drama, but it's also not good for the her friendships with people of within Mom Talk, and then makes them not want to trust her, like
Right.
feel like they aren't being a friend to her when they think they are because of how Taylor's acting. So that obviously starts some rifts here. Specifically, now we first see Macy and Michaela meet with Taylor, and Taylor initially doesn't feel bad about calling the girls out for not commenting, since that's really how she felt in that moment. But Macy and Michaela explain that it's hurtful because it was an isolated incident and they're now getting all harassed by fans online. So now we're also seeing another like breaking the fourth wall in a bit, or not like fourth wall, but more just like seeing people like hearing the hate of what they were getting from this reaction.
Yeah.
And Taylor eventually then sends an apology text to the group, which leads them to then text fight between, well, Taylor and Demi texting and fighting in those messages there, which those got pretty nasty in those messages. But I felt like it was sad to hear about like all the people who were then throwing hate towards Macy, Michaela, the rest of the girls. Just, I mean, that's kind of the nature of social media. Social media, though. My flipper. Um, with the nature of social media, because I feel like they're just gonna go off of what you see and who you're supporting. If they want Taylor to be in the right, they're gonna say Taylor's in the right in that moment and not want to support the other girls. So that was interesting to hear about. But then with Demi and Taylor fighting in that group text, that was a lot. Like I was like, what is even happening here? It seems like Demi had built up anger that she was trying to get out on Taylor there. So it seemed a bit like an overreaction to me. But what were your thoughts, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that the girls are getting so much hate from this. I'm sure because we saw it.
Yeah.
Like at the time, I remember even seeing the other girls like being like, "Yeah, this is why Taylor doesn't want to hang out with you guys. Y'all are just fake friends and all this stuff." And it's like, okay, we get that Taylor has the largest fan base of all of them, and I think this is a classic example of kind of this like queen bee of the group and like we see it on Housewives all the time where it's like this kind of the most popular cast member on the show feels like they can leverage that popularity when they're the one kind of being iced out of the group or on the outs with the group at the time, and they feel like they're just going to kind of play victim and say, oh, the girls are being so mean to me. I'm Lisa Vanderpump now because that's a classic example. And then they know that that is going saying that is a dog whistle that's going to get all of their fans to attack every social media post of all the other cast members who were being so mean to the poor queen bee of the group, whoever that is. In this case, it's Taylor. And I do think that Taylor, if she didn't realize it, that that's what she was doing, then this is a good wake up call for her because now she knows that she does have that power and that fan base that in the future, if she does this again, that she is absolutely fully aware now that doing this is going to cause all of the other girls to get hundreds and hundreds of death threats and hate messages. So I think we need to put a pin in that. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt this time because this was, it's still a very new show and she's still very young. Like I could see that that's not something that she necessarily thought about. She probably thought, okay, this is going to be good drama that we're teasing for the show or, just kind of being petty in the moment. But if she does something like that again, I am not going to be able to defend her.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like she acts out of like anger in the moment or like being upset, and sometimes she needs to take a step back and thinking about it more. And I think she definitely learned that lesson from this post, particularly because obviously of all the backlash that came from that. So hopefully we see her learn from it in the future, but I expect her to.
I hope so, because I don't think like, and I'll say I really like Taylor. Like that's not me saying that I don't like Taylor by any means. Like I really love her on this show. I think she's a fantastic reality star just in general. And I really don't think of her as being someone who's that like calculated and manipulative as someone like Lisa Vanderpump. So never give Lisa Vanderpump the benefit of the doubt. I'm kind of, not her biggest supporter. But Taylor, I do like, and so I think I think we'll see some people as time goes on, as they are on these shows for longer and longer, they become a little bit more calculated and manipulative. So that's kind of where I'm saying like, and now that she has this in her back pocket as like a tool that she knows like, okay, I have this huge fan base that I can leverage kind of however I want against who I don't like at the time. We'll kind of see over time whether that starts to feel a little bit more calculated.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that happening. But then we have another trip for the girls, except Jen and Taylor, they do not go. But the rest of them go to New Orleans. And when they first arrived, Jen texted the group a video where she explained what she had been going through, saying that she was going through a tough time and had a pregnancy. Obviously, she became pregnant also, so now she's pregnant and apologizes to anyone that she's hurt. But Jessie says that she's giving her grace and open to moving on. But then Demi doesn't buy it and thinks that she's being manipulative here and trying to just get their sympathy, which I don't agree with. Here we're still seeing more of the Demi villain edit. But I thought that Jen was being honest, and really, obviously, we know she stopped filming. Like that's a reason for like we know she's actually going through this, having a tough time here. So I believe Jen.
Oh yeah, no, me too. And I think that it was good of her to send this video. I think that's the right way to get this message across to the girls, because if she had tried to do that over text, I don't think that it would have come across as they would have be able to see what kind of state she's in right now and how she's very fragile and vulnerable. And that doesn't always come across in just like words. And so I think this was a good way for her to be like, you can see me, like you can see that I am not in a very good place right now, and that it would not be beneficial to my mental health for me to be in this group on this trip right now. I need to be home. I need to be with Zach. Like, we need to figure this all out until before I come back and can fully be present. So, I think that that Demi not being very supportive here is just I just think that it's one of those things where she's kind of just being stubborn. Like I just think she's like, I have said that I am anti Jen and that I think she's manipulative, and no amount of evidence otherwise is going to stop me from feeling this way. Like I just think like, and she was she had put her flag in and she was going to stand there no matter what. So yeah, I think that that's not great. Not a great look for Demi.
No, definitely not. And it's just more so solidifying people's thoughts of like thinking that Demi isn't supportive of people's
Yeah,
which later on we
exactly.
hear she's kind of iced out, but or she kind of ices herself out. But yeah, so then in New Orleans, Layla tells the girls that they're going to play pregnancy roulette. So this is an interesting game. They're just gonna all take a pregnancy test and see who's turns out positive, but it's all in a bowl, so they don't know who it is. Like everyone else, except for the girls who are pregnant, obviously, don't know who it is. But we already had found out that Macy was pregnant because she had been doing IVF treatments and it worked out, so she is pregnant. But two pregnancy tests come back positive. So then we revealed that Michaela is also pregnant. So this was an interesting game though because Zami has been having a lot of fertility struggles and she gets emotional because she's been trying to get pregnant but has not had any positive tests in her years of trying. So it kind of became a thing where everyone was just trying to console Demi. Demi, but Macy and Michaela are obviously trying to be happy for themselves that they're both pregnant, but they can't be in that moment. So they kind of just like go off to the side and don't reveal it's them right away. So I think they handled that in the right way just because it was not the time and place to announce it. I think right in that moment when someone was like, well, who's pregnant? Like, just let it simmer for a little bit and then reveal it, I think was the right move.
Yeah, I do too, but this was such a weird game, first of all. I don't know who thought this was a wonderful idea to play. I've never seen this on TikTok. Have you?
No.
Like, what? I don't think this was going mega viral. But yeah, what a weird position for Macy and Michaela to be in. And I'm glad that they at least had each other to kind of go through this with, even though Michaela was not aware that Macy was pregnant.
Yeah.
But, but like, once you found out, like, at least they had each other to kind of talk this through and be like, well, how is the best way for us to handle this? And I think they did the right thing. Like I think they, let Demi cool down, like, and this is again something that like I completely understand why Demi was like really upset and started crying because like she's trying to get pregnant. She finds out that two of the girls are pregnant and she's not one of them. And like she kind of had this like moment of hope that maybe it was her, but then like I can absolutely empathize with her in this moment. And I think that Macy and Michaela handled this as best as they possibly could, and yeah, just a really tricky, weird situation for them to be in here.
Yeah. No, I don't even know if they would have ended up posting this. Like I don't know if it would make any sense for them to even reveal this. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting game and don't play it if you're with people who are struggling with fertility issues.
Yeah,
Lesson
yeah,
learned.
right. Like, yeah, I don't know, because like also probably for someone like Macy, like this would have, if she wasn't pregnant, this would have been a really like sensitive topic to like make a game out of for her as someone who's trying. Like, so I just think like no matter what the situation was, this just was probably not a great idea.
Yeah, agreed. But we found out Michaela was pregnant here, so that was exciting.
Yes, very happy for both of them.
Yes. And then Jesse pulls Demi aside to ask her about the comment about the Jay-Z styles, her hair and salon place that and Taylor brought it up because Demi says that Taylor was making it sound way worse than it actually was.
Well,
But
let's
Jesse
explain what the comment was. I don't think we brought it up
oh
earlier. That
yes.
Yeah, so at the Saints and Sinners party that Jesse and Macy had put on earlier, Taylor brought up the fact that Demi is fake because she had told Taylor that Jesse wasn't good at doing hair and not to go to Jay-Z Styles. And then Demi kind of retorted back that she didn't say that she was bad at hair, but she admitted to saying that she wouldn't go there for color because wouldn't recommend that somebody else go there for color because she's never had that done before, so she wasn't sure how good Jesse was at doing that. So that's kind of the context here that they're now discussing.
Yeah, and I feel like because we had seen how close to me and Jesse were throughout the season, this definitely put a separation between them because then Jesse wasn't sure what to believe and if she could trust Demi with like she would want her to support her business and all that stuff. Like to me, if she's telling these things, that's like not good to hear from one of your closest friends. So then it seems reasonable that Jesse would want to take a step back from her friendship just because she doesn't really see herself like being close or super close to someone who would make a comment like that. But what do you think about the situation here?
Yeah, totally. I feel really bad for Jesse here because it's like to find that out, like in the middle of a party, like in the middle of an argument that two other people are having, to just randomly then hear that you're one of your closest friends. Not only did you know already that she had like gone behind your back to potentially be like she's okay with you leaving the show if she could get more money out of it, But then also now to find out that she was telling Taylor not to go to your salon. Like, how many other of her friends has she told to do that? Like, it's like this probably wasn't the first time that she said that to someone. So, I think that that's such a hard thing to hear, and I feel really bad for Jessie. And yeah, I can't blame her at all for being like, I don't know exactly what the truth is, but I don't know that I want to be as close to you as we once were.
Yeah, I agree. And we kind of already see that like they haven't been together as much. I feel like that we saw in like the first half, the first 5 episodes
Hmm.
of the season. So it definitely makes sense that Jessie is distancing herself
Yeah, they were
from.
like a package deal season one. And I mean, the first half of season two, it feels like all the time people are like, Jesse and Demi, Jesse and Demi did this, Jesse and Demi did that. Like, it's kind of, you say them as one person almost. And now clearly there's quite a bit of a divide.
Yeah, for sure. But next up, we see the Christmas party. So Demi hosted this Christmas party for Mom Talk, but Taylor doesn't come because she doesn't feel welcome there. Also, Layla kind of told her like you shouldn't come to this.
Yeah.
Um,
Which, look, Layla, we want drama. Don't
yeah,
encourage. Tell Taylor that she should come and stand her ground. Like, don't tell her not to come. I mean, look, we got a good scene out of this regardless. But I wanted Taylor there.
I know. I did too. I was kind of sad that Taylor didn't go, but her mom did go instead. So Leanne crashes the party and brings a gift from Taylor. And Leanne tries to defend Taylor to Demi, but then Demi just says that she's sick of Taylor getting a pass because of what she's going through. And it gets heated in their conversation. And then most of the other girls think that it's inappropriate of Demi to fight with Leanne, and that conversation was just, it did feel inappropriate of what was going down. It's just not the right time and place also, it seems like, for that conversation. But obviously that's where they were talking, so it made sense that it happened here, but all the other girls could hear what was going on. The room wasn't that big of what was happening, so it couldn't be like, oh, Demi could just say something had happened and then it not be true. Like, we everyone obviously heard that was what was going down, so she couldn't defend herself and being like, "Well, it wasn't that bad," because it was.
It
Um,
reminded me of like on Selling Sunset when everyone's at their desk and then like you have two people arguing like on the couch right there, and it's like really weird because there's like this audience, but they're like far enough away that like they're not involved, but also close enough that they can fully like see and hear everything that's happening. So it's just like they're kind of just like not able to really focus on anything else.
yeah, oh for sure. It's always like you want to hear, but you don't know if you should hear it.
Yeah.
Um, but then after Leanne left, then Demi opened up the gift, and it's a box of Jay Z Styles products. So that was funny. I love Taylor for that.
Yeah, that was really good. That was a good move from Taylor. I mean, not to constantly compare this to other shows, but it really reminded me of on Real Housewives of New Jersey this past season when Margaret Josephs gave Teresa a gift, and it was like she was having like a whole get together with the cast that just a couple of the girls weren't invited to, and so Margaret brought her these flowers that were like a funeral arrangement basically and said sorry for the loss of your dignity.
Oh my gosh. That's
It
great.
was, yeah, it was really good. This kind of reminded me of that, just like a really good moment to like, even if you're not there, you were fully making your mark on this event. But to comment on the Leanne of it all for a second, I I look like it may not have been a great way to speak to someone's mother, like, but Leanne put herself in the situation. Leanne didn't have to show up. Leanne got a microphone on. She showed up here. Like, I think however someone speaks to you, like, well, okay, not however, but you are fully putting yourself into now the drama of the show and your daughter's drama. And I think that Demi, sure, maybe didn't speak with a lot of respect to Leanne, but I also think that, look, Leanne kind of put herself into this. She did not have to show up to this event uninvited, really. So I think, I can't fully blame this on totally on Demi. I think that Leanne opened herself up to being a part of this drama by being there at all.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it seems like what the dinner itself would have been the Christmas party would have been pretty boring without her though. So I'm like glad
True.
maybe do you think producers were involved in this? I don't know.
Yeah, I think they wanted someone, a Taylor or Taylor's representative there.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know how it happened in terms of like whether producers really wanted Taylor there and Taylor refused and maybe said something like, "Well, I'm not welcome there. I'm not invited. Like I don't want to go and seem desperate." So then they were like, "Well, maybe what if Leanne came?" Like they could have recommended that. I don't know, but I'm glad that somebody from Taylor's camp at least was there to be kind of the foil for Demi to me to argue with, because we needed that moment for the season finale or the mid-season finale to have some sort of, and we get it later, we get it at the meeting, and I wonder if that meeting was even supposed to happen at all, but because Taylor didn't show up to the Christmas party, they decided to end the season with that other meeting instead. I don't know. I don't know, but it felt like this was meant to be the big finale, like end of the finale moment, I would assume, if Taylor had been there.
Yeah, no, that would have made more sense because this like let's meet up at and discuss all the future of mom talk just on the couch. Like I was like, this feels like we're in like school or like like a meeting that's like what's going on here.
Yeah, it feels
But
like a high school club or something.
yeah,
Like, let's discuss how we're going to who's going to be involved in this club next year. Like, I don't know. It's I don't I mean, this is a topic for another day. I don't really get what mom talk is, if we're being completely honest. Like, what is it technically being in mom talk? Like, what does that mean? Like, you're involved or not involved in our TikToks, or like the money that we get in, because they don't have like one mom talk account, right? They just each have their
no.
own individual accounts. So like each person is getting their own money that's coming in through the TikToks. But I guess like if you're not, I don't know. I'm going to explain it incorrectly, so I probably shouldn't even try. But I'm just going to say I don't fully know that I understand what the extent of mom talk is.
I think it's kind of evolved. So what it started as, like I think when it started, it was always them doing TikToks together. And so it just became a thing where they were always posting together, even if it was on their own accounts. And then I think once they were having more kids or like being more involved in other things, like they kind of just stopped doing them as much together, but they were still considered to be part of it since they all started in it or like they
Mm-hmm.
were all involved with it. I don't know. They always reference it as like it's a business, but like what does that even mean? Like I guess this gives them their
Yeah.
brand. So like maybe it's just more of this like overarching group name now versus just like the TikToks of them.
Yeah.
Um
So
but
like
it,
when they say like, okay, Michaela, voting on whether not Michaela, Miranda
Miranda.
is going to be added to joining Mom Talk, or rejoining Mom Talk officially. So that means now Miranda is going to be in their TikToks. Like
Yeah.
that's the extent of it.
That's what it seems like.
Like why do we have to have an official announcement for this? Like, okay, now we're gonna have an extra person in our TikToks. I don't know. That just feels weird. I don't know. It just feels weird. Like it feels like I was almost wondering, like, is this code for should they join the show, like being like on next season of the show? But like then I'm like, well, that doesn't, because technically Whitney's not in Mom Talk right now, but she's on the show still. So like then I was very confused. So I don't know.
Yeah, because then I guess it's also the group chat. So when Whitney left the group chat last year, like that was
Mm-hmm.
when like she got removed also from Mom Talk. She didn't want to be part of that. But
Yeah.
now she gets voted back in here. So
Yeah.
it's interesting that was she even really gone? Like it was more just that she kind of just like took a step back and then like now it's like,
Yeah.
well, she's in it. But they also want to vote if Miranda will join. So they didn't really come to a conclusion on that. They're like, let's just wait and see.
And
But
it seems like Taylor and Miranda now are like very good, on very good terms. Like they are in each other's TikToks. Like they seem to be very close now. So I wonder if this happened like during the next filming period that we're going to be seeing on the back half of season two, or if it was kind of in between seasons when they grew closer. But I'm excited to see their relationship evolve and blossom in the next batch of episodes we'll get.
yeah, oh, I agree. I think that, I mean, Taylor's just forgiving of a person as well. I think
Hmm.
that, like, for her to move on with that situation with Miranda is showing of her character as well, just to show, like, well, they had problems, but they worked through them and they're
Yeah,
okay.
for sure.
Um, but we still have Taylor and Demi going at it because then they get an argument because Taylor brings up that Demi was saying she doesn't want to be in Mom Talk if Taylor is. So then Jesse also speaks up saying that she was hurt by Demi's comments and the lack of accountability. And so Demi leaves and says that she doesn't know if it's worth it for her to be in Mom Talks, and none of her friends were having her back. And it definitely, it was kind of like, well, this was an interesting moment just because like I didn't expect it to escalate to that level. Like I thought Taylor bringing up like, oh, like are you even gonna want to be in Mom Talk if I'm in it, like was maybe more just like a saying that Demi said, like not that she was actually serious about it. And then this moment of her like actually walking out, I was like, oh, so is she quitting? Like this was a crazy moment. But what did you think?
Yeah. No, I mean, it doesn't seem like Demi's been in many of the TikToks lately with the group. So, I mean, does that mean that she's not in it officially? I don't know. But it certainly feels like, yeah, I feel like at this, when we get the next batch of episodes, she's going to be in the Whitney position of like all the girls being like, I haven't heard from her in months. And like, it's going to kind of be this like weird, awkward feeling because she probably hasn't really been in contact with anyone except Whitney. It feels like those two are thick as thieves right now. So I don't know what happened after this exactly, but it really does feel like Demi is pretty iced out of the group. And so, I mean, look, I'm sure I even saw something just like yesterday or something like that Jesse and Demi refollowed each other on Instagram. I don't know how truth that is because I think I literally just saw one like tweet or something about it. So,
Let me
that
look.
seems reliable.
Yeah.
But so who knows? I feel like things change in the blink of an eye with this group, and so it's hard to tell at any given moment who's close, who's not close, who's talking. But yeah, I am sure that she will be back. Like I don't think that this is Demi leaving the show and leaving Mom Talk forever, but I do think that it's going to take some time for her to fully like rebuild those relationships with most of the girls.
Yeah. Well, confirming they do follow each other.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just saw that as proof.
Who
But
knows what's happening right now? I'm sure we'll see it in about 5 or 6 months. But
yeah, so maybe they're like, well, maybe we should follow each other now. But or they're friends again. We'll have to see.
my
But
guess is
yeah,
that they're like, okay, we'll start over type of thing. Like we're gonna have a fresh, clean slate. They're probably like on a trip right now or something, and like let's bury the hatchet and move forward. Like they're probably not besties right now, is what I would say.
yeah, I agree. They're just gonna be like, let's just leave the past in the past
Yeah.
and be friends again. But we'll be cautious this time. Or at least Jesse will be cautious this time.
Yes.
But yes. But this is not where the season ends. We also get to see that Layla meets up with Marciano to get to the bottom of what really happened at Vanderpump Villa. And he says that he put himself out there to Demi and tried to kiss her, but then nothing more happened than that. But then that the rumor about Jesse is true, and that even more happened than just a kiss at Tom Tom. So that was interesting to hear. And Marciano said that they remained in contact and hooked up multiple times, and that Jordan doesn't know the extent of what has happened. So this was interesting of him to reveal this right now, and now we're like, well, what what actually is going down with all these previews and everything? It's not. It seems to be that Marciano is telling the truth here, or at least I don't know. It's not totally wrong for what to expect. Like it seems that Jesse is obviously very upset that this stuff is coming out based on her crying and saying my life is going to be ruined by this and all that. So, what were your thoughts on hearing Marciano talk about this, and what do you think is going to be the case?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that Marciano is the beacon of truth. Like I don't, do I believe a thirsty cast member from Vanderpump Villa is going to like, not exaggerate something for the sake of spreading a cheating rumor that's going to get picked up and have people talking and I don't know. But of course, who else could possibly be involved in this than one Sheena Shea? Of course, on her podcast, Shenanigans, this past week, was talking about this whole situation, and apparently, of course, she was there for all of it. She was at Tom Tom, and and was with Jesse and Marciano that night, and she was saying, I mean, like, I'm not going to, repeat all of what she was saying because I'll probably get the details wrong, but you can go and listen to the most recent episode of Shenanigans and to get the full story on that of what she was saying. But she seems to think that something more happened because she was saying that, like, that they were texting for a long time and that Jesse was going up to Marciano's room, I think, and was saying that Sheena was asking like, is your husband okay with this type of thing? And she was like, yeah, of course. And she made like Marciano text Jesse to make sure that oh sorry, it was the other way around. That Marciano was going up to Jesse's was going to hang out with Jesse for the rest of the night or something and she made him text Jesse to see like is this okay with her husband before he went there. I think she's probably traumatized by Tom and Raquel, and didn't want something like that to be inadvertently involved in something like that. And Jesse apparently texted him back and was like, "Yes, haha, of course." And so then he went to hang out with her the rest of the night, and so that's when she assumes something more happened, I guess. But I don't know. I am curious to hear Jesse's side of the story here because I feel like there has to be something more to this. Because I don't know. Like, I just don't. I guess I just don't want to believe that Jesse is that type of person that would just like cheat on her husband. I don't know. I just don't see that in her personality. But so I don't know. Until we hear her side and we kind of hear all sides of it, I want to reserve too much judgment.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we haven't gotten enough information for us to give like a full concrete like oh this must be what's happening here. So I'm also interested to hear just like what Jesse's side is of this all, but it's interesting to hear it just from what we've heard so far from Marciano and what you're sharing from Sheena. It seems like there's something that could have happened, but I don't know what that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see for part two, or to be continued of
This show
season
knows how to
two.
do a cliffhanger at an end of a season. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Oh, yes. I know. Secret Lives and More Wives, they've got it figured out. Everyone is hooked on the show. I even got my boyfriend to start watching it, so it's for everyone. Um,
It is. There's people that I know that like don't watch these types of shows that even season one they were like, "Oh my God, have you seen Secret Lives of Mormon Wives?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And yeah, it's a good one. It's a keeper.
Yes, for sure. Well, thanks so much for listening, everyone. And we'll be back next week to chat more. reality TV Love Island starts. So that's really exciting, and we'll be covering that. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on what we're covering all weeks. Every week, we watch all kind of shows. So also follow us at Let's Chat Reality on social media, and we'll talk with y'all again soon. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye, everyone.